was not only, I don't know, she was saying, yeah, you were.
That was the worst match.
She was the worst match. But emotionally, spiritually, and everything else, Miriam was fabulous, and I'm obviously very grateful. People always ask me, well, you know, did you know each other? So if anybody knows the background, my daughter Dina and Rafi, my son-in-law, and Yitzi and Devorah were neighbors in Chicago. Miriam grew up and lived many years in Chicago and moved to be closer to her children. And Dina said, you know, Devorah's mother-in-law is coming, and Yitzi's mother, which are the same people, and you need to be nice. And my line is, I was nice, I wasn't that nice. So Miriam's going to say a few words, or maybe more than a few words.
Yeah, it's like, indulge me in about 5 minutes of my personal thoughts my personal thoughts about this whole experience, as soon as my grandchildren.
And you can't have the kidney back on there.
It wasn't such a good kidney. I don't think I wanted that. It actually was not only that it was a bad match, it was a bad kidney, really. Over the last few years, I would read the Hamodia, and from time to time you see these ads that are asking for a kidney, somebody to donate a kidney. And those ads always touched me, but it was somebody in New York, and it was far away, and it wasn't really practical. But I always thought, well, if it was out there somebody in Baltimore, then certainly, you know, I would do it. And of course, I guess HaKadosh Baruch Hu was listening to me, because the next thing I knew, I was sitting in Shomrei, and Rabbi Fran was talking about somebody in Baltimore who needed a kidney. And it was kind of put your money where your mouth is, you know. Here all along you're thinking, oh yeah, I would do it, and now it's, you know, push comes to shove. And then Devorah told me that he had been talking about Eve, and at that point I knew that, you know, that I wanted to do it. But it was a very scary concept, and most of that night I stayed up on the internet researching kidney donation. And I even actually watched a video. You can watch a video of the actual surgery on the University of Maryland website. And I'm kind of a medical freak, so I watched it. And after learning all about it, and I knew that it wasn't such a scary concept, so I decided that I was going to make the offer. And I really felt that that was a test of emunah and bitachon, and that it was an example that I could set for my children and my grandchildren. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects us to do certain things with the brachos that he gives us, and I really felt that I had that obligation, and that was a way that I could teach them something in a way that actions that words never could. And over the next few weeks, I really struggled with my feelings about this, and I went from hoping that I would be able to do it and hoping that I wouldn't have to do it. And I went back and forth for several months. And at the same time, Eve and I were kind of struggling with our relationship because we didn't really know each other that well at that point. And how do you relate to somebody who's just offered you a kidney? And she was very grateful, and I felt very uncomfortable because I really felt that it wasn't a personal thing. It was just something that I felt that I had to do for myself and for my family. So I felt that that was kind of a personal test. And it turned out that it really was a test for both of us, because over the next 9 months, when it took about 9 months from that time till the surgery, as everybody knows. And when he first said, Erev Yom Kippur, she said that I want to start now because I want to do this by the end of the year. And I thought, why are you starting now if you don't want to do this till the end of the year? We have lots of time. Well, it turned out that even 2 weeks before the original date of the surgery, we didn't have a final okay to go into the surgery. And even going into the surgery, we weren't even sure that they were going to be able to use the kidney. In fact, there was a very real possibility they would remove the kidney and toss it in the garbage. So, in fact, when I woke up from the surgery, the first thing I said to Yitzi is, how is Eve? And he said, she's in surgery. Well, that's really what I wanted to know. I knew that he would know how she's doing. She would still be in surgery. I wanted to know that she had actually got into the surgery because I, was afraid that she would sit there for 2 hours while I was in surgery, and then they'd say, okay, go home, no good. Surgery, kidney's no good. So I was very thankful that they were able to use the kidney. The 9 months of medical testing was really a roller coaster for both Eve and I. It was a roller coaster of emotions and anxiety. First, just the blood test, where I was hoping that I would match and then hoping that I wouldn't match back and forth. And then I was the worst match, but gradually one person after the other that was a better match than me was disqualified for whatever reason, and then it was just me. And then I went for that full day of testing, and they called me and they said not only was I not suitable for a donor, but that my health was seriously at risk, and they thought that I had a life-threatening illness, and they were not going to consider me. And then for several weeks after that, I went through test after test after test just to see if I was sick, if there was something wrong with me. And then finally, when they said, Baruch Hashem, I was okay, it wasn't what they thought it was, we had to go back to the University of Maryland, take that whole file of testing, and they had to again approve me to be considered as a donor. And at that point, still request many more tests and doctor's consults over the next few months. At that point, when all my testing was done, they called Eva and they asked her, do you still want this kidney? We know it's not perfect. In fact, it might be very bad. We won't know until we get it out. So when she said she had an offer of the cadaver kidney and that she had to decide whether to take my kidney or not, that was a very big decision. And she had to take all of my medical file, and she went to doctors and she went to Rabbanim to try to figure out what to do. So it really was a roller coaster. And through all of these trials and tribulations, the one thing that we kept saying to each other was we had an overwhelming feeling that it was Bashir. And it was that emunah and bitachon that kept us both semi-sane. I mean, we didn't start out sane, so we didn't stay totally sane, but it kept us semi-sane through all of the ups and downs. Once I had recovered and everything was Baruch Hashem okay, the feeling that I had, and it's the same feeling that I've talked to everybody else who's ever donated a kidney, was that we all only wish we had another one to spare, because it was such a positive experience and it was really a life-changing experience. So I just want to express my gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for allowing me to have this experience, for allowing me to know that I did have the emunah and the bitachon to go through with it. And, we never really know until we go through something how we're going to react to it. And, of course, Eve was with me. I dragged her up and down that roller coaster the whole way. And the best part was when I was in the hospital and one of my grandchildren asked Yitzi, if we only need one kidney, why does Hashem give us two kidneys? And she thought for a moment and she said, one to keep and one to give away. And for that, it was all worthwhile. And my gratitude for reaching this day to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really boundless. And so thank you. Yeah.